God, yeah.
Sometimes it's in the quiet we say the most.
I'm like, is this really true? In the interest of justice.
Emotion just too powerful for words. Rarely do we choose where those moments happen. And so was the case on this day, as Ronnie Bogle and I sat down for fast food in Tacoma.
In the interest of justice, the conviction should be vacated and the matter dismissed without prejudice.
The contents on that phone and email with a ruling by the Bellevue City prosecutor exonerating Ronnie of 2 misdemeanors related to drunken behavior.
It's much better than that.
Food for his soul. Police admit they got it wrong. Tricked by Ronnie's brother, Gary Bogle, who'd been stealing Ronnie's identity for years. Self-described as a homeless and a drunk, Gary was compiling a growing list of convictions and arrests in Ronnie's name. From Olympia to Spokane, Everett, Bellevue, and Renton, where he's captured on an officer's dashcam video going by Ronnie.
All right. Ronnie, let's go.
Meanwhile, Ronnie had never been to Washington, never seen the Puget Sound. He lives and works at a museum in Northern California, but he had been suffering the consequences of his brother's behavior, unable to even qualify for a new credit card.
For 5 years, while trying to give pretty things to people, I've felt ugly. I've had to live an ugly life.
Ronnie is the victim of a crime increasingly common and yet one of the hardest to prosecute.
I think that's a real challenge that Ronnie has, that law enforcement has.
Melinda Young is the chair of the Identity Theft Task Force in Western Washington.
We can say it isn't this person. We know it isn't this person who was arrested. But then we have to, go back and go, but it was this person.
This year, the state expanded her unit in the hopes of helping more people. People like Ronnie, who are often left fighting these crimes on their own.
It's all on me, and that's why I'm here. I've never been arrested. I've never had a ticket.
Yeah. Just consider Ronnie's experience in Bellevue, where he was asked to come in person to prove his innocence. Not a short trip from California.
I'm the one here getting fingerprinted.
Right.
Because I have no criminal history.
Correct. And
do you understand the irony of that?
It's super frustrating.
Ultimately, no fingerprints were needed. A quick photo comparison was all it took.
No, I seen him in person. I seen Gary and now Ronnie. So.
If only Ronnie's troubles had stopped there. But Gary had been tarnishing more than his brother's legal reputation, which takes us back to Ezel's, that fast food restaurant, and why we even visited Tacoma. Gary had been posing as Ronnie at various hospitals like St. Joseph's down the street from Ezel's. One ER visit there cost $728. Ronnie, not Gary, received the bills. Altogether in the thousands.
Hi. That's awesome. Nice to meet you.
The hospital agreed to meet with us, also concerned about this new form of identity theft.
We don't withhold treatment.
Sydney Bersanti is the market president over St. Joseph's.
I think that's an important thing to realize that's maybe different about healthcare is that we do move forward and provide those services.
A study by the Medical ID Fraud Alliance calls identity theft 20 times more lucrative than traditional credit card theft. It found 2.3 million Americans had been victimized in 1 year, resulting in roughly $20 billion in charges for medical services they had never received.
Okay.
In Ronnie's case, he found himself yet again proving his innocence, that he wasn't the man the hospital had treated.
So it's not the treatment of someone who needs it. It's the fact that I was sent the bills, and on top of that, the hospitals, and I'm not just specifically talking about yours, just decided to throw it on my credit.
St. Joseph's reversed the charges and classified Gary's visits as uncompensated care. But beyond the financial concerns, the implications of medical identity theft can be life or death.
It really presents a patient safety issue if we're not dealing with the individual as they present themselves, because a lot of information is obviously in the medical record that we rely on.
Gary's escapades as Ronnie finally came to an end in Olympia, when Officer Jacob Thies recognized Gary as the man he had seen on an alert out of Santa Clara County, California, where Ronnie lives. A man he had heard was wanted for identity theft.
Driving down the road and I see Gary walking down the side of the road. I'm thinking, here we go.
Here's my guy.
In a rare moment,
And I just want you to know that I'll always love you. I'll always remember what you did for me. So thank you.
Ronnie was able to meet this officer who in one day did what Ronnie had been fighting for years. He stopped his brother. Gary denied our request for interview before being sent to California to face 10 felonies for false impersonation.
Court is the case of People versus Boggle.
NBC Bay Area News was there for the first hearing. Gary's now awaiting sentencing.
Thank you.
With his brother now separated by more than 800 miles and a set of steel bars,
Oh my God.
Ronnie did something simple,
I love it. Oh my God.
something we all do every day,
You put your zip in,
but something he hasn't done in years without cringing.
type your name.
And it's my name.
From the top of the Space Needle, he wrote his name.
This is the first time in 5 years that I could actually write down my name and it just be my name.
Signed the digital guest book at one of the most iconic places in Seattle.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
Way up here, Ronnie almost felt invincible.
Free as it is up here, that's how I feel in my head right now.
And against the privacy of night, he reflected.
God, it's so beautiful. So
What would he do tomorrow, now that the real Ronnie Bogle had finally claimed his seat?
I'm smiling, and if you only knew how many times I haven't smiled in the past.